Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
It is Thursday, and all of today's guests, including Pierre McGuire, standing by, brought to you by the Vancouver Canadians. Their homestand against Tri-City continues tonight, and this weekend features a fireworks night, nooner, Marvel Superhero Day, and a White Spot Family Fun Sunday. Check out the full schedule and get your tickets at CanadiansBaseball.com or call 604-872-5232. All sorts of news in the National Hockey League as we get ready for the NHL draft starting tomorrow in Los Angeles. Joining us now from the Eye Test podcast, part of the Sick Podcast Network, longtime NHL analyst, NHL coach, executive, Pierre McGuire. Pierre, thanks for doing this, sir. How are you?
Great to see you, Don. Rick, really nice to visit with you as well.
All right. Thanks so much, Pierre. At the Canucks, Evander Kane, did they make a positive move acquiring him, and he's a Vancouver kid, acquiring him from Edmonton for a fourth rounder?
Absolutely. You got a ready-made NHL player that can come in and really help the team. I love the fact that Adam Foote is there coaching. I love the fact Kevin Dean is there coaching. I love the fact that Brett McLean's there coaching. And I coach Scotty Young. So I know all those people really well in that coaching staff. I think the coaching staff's the right staff for him. I think the fact he's coming home is great for him. The fact that he was a legendary Vancouver Giant is great for Evander Kane. And I've never, you know what, I know there's all this stuff out there about Evander Kane. In my career, and I hope Evander would tell you this if you ever had a chance to talk to him, I've never had a bad visit with Evander. I've never had one bad experience with Evander Kane.
Okay, Pierre, you mentioned something there, and to be honest, people in Vancouver, including the media, we don't know a whole lot about that coaching staff. What is it about Kevin Dean, Scott Young and company that you're confident about?
Kevin Dean is a tremendous developer of defensemen. I tried to recruit him. Before he went to the University of New Hampshire, I tried to recruit him out of Culver Military Academy. So I've known him over 35 years. He's a tremendous motivator. He's really good tactically, and he makes players better. And that's a big thing in the National Hockey League today. Brett McLean was a tremendous workhorse type of a player. He brought that into his coaching. I know his team in the American League last year didn't make the playoffs in Iowa, but I can tell you one thing, I watched them a ton. They were industrious, they were hardworking, they were a little devoid of talent, to be totally fair and honest with you. I think he's going to do a real good job, especially in the finer parts of the game with faceoffs in particular. And Scotty Young, I think, is going to be outstanding as a power play coach. Again, a player that I had the privilege of winning a Stanley Cup with in Pittsburgh in 1991. We did not want to trade him going into the 92 season. We had to just because of financial reasons. But I can tell you right now, that staff is great. And anybody that knows Adam Foote knows just the type of gentleman and hard worker and smart guy he is around the bench. I love the coaching staff.
You can use this, Pierre, a little bit of trivia for you. Scott Young scored the final goal for the Nordiques in Quebec before they moved to Colorado. Use that at parties. Impress your friends. Back to Evander Kane for a second.
One second, Don.
Yeah.
He should never have been in Quebec. We were given a short budget in Pittsburgh after winning a cup, and we went through an ownership change, and that's why he got traded. Anyway, Move on.
Well, we'll use that at parties.
Yeah.
Okay, Pierre, Evander Kane, back to him in the playoffs, 6 goals in 21 games. What did you see?
Well, I'll tell you what, the game that Edmonton won in the Stanley Cup final, Don, in against Florida, he had 8 hits in that game, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And he was a physical force. He dominated Aaron Ekblad, and that gave all the top players of Edmonton a lot more room to work. I thought that was his best game of the series. Even though I think he had more hits in game 2, he was not nearly as effective. And then, he lost his way like a lot of people do when they play against the Florida Panthers. They try to out-macho the Panthers, and that's just not the way to approach it. I don't think Edmonton learned a lot from their series lost a year ago. Going into this year, and I think the players paid the price for that. But in terms of Evander, I thought he had a good playoff, and I didn't like the fact he didn't shake hands at the end of Game 6. That's something that bothered me, and I would tell that to Evander right to his face. But outside of that, I thought he had a real good playoff.
Pierre, what does Vancouver need to do? 2 years ago, Game 7, Edmonton, Round 2, and this season was a disaster. They're in on Rossi. They checked in on Peterka. The prices are high. They're still looking for a second-line center. Besser's there. Suter's there. What do you see shaking down in Vancouver up here in the next few days?
You know, Rick, it's going to be really fluid around the league. I don't think it's just Vancouver. And I love the fact that you brought up the second line center. If you were to go around the league right now, Rick, I would say probably over 40% of the general managers would probably tell you, I need a second center.
Bingo.
And part of the problem is, too, people see, okay, you've got the last two teams to go to the Stanley Cup final, Edmonton and Florida. Well, you got McDavid and Draisaitl 1-2. Okay, scratch. You go Florida, you got Barkov and Bennett, scratch. And then you got to add Lundell. That causes a problem. So everybody's looking at that two-hole now. Some people really think they have a legit number one center. Now they need that legit number two center. And I think that's one of the real big things around the league right now if you talk to enough managers. But I think the biggest thing about Vancouver, and I mean this with no disrespect to anybody there, they got to get rid of the drama around the team.
Yeah, big go.
The drama's got to go. It's just got to go.
Yep. Oh, boy, Pierre, we saw a ton of it this year. All right, July 1st. You know what happens on July 1st, Pierre? Crazy, stupid money spent. You know that. What are you expecting? We got Marner, Bennett, possibly going there, Ehlers. Are we gonna see some stupid stuff on July 1st, Pierre?
I don't know about stupid, but I would say this. If I were Mitchell Marner's camp, rather than look at teams that might sign him, Rick, I'd say to Mitchell Marner's camp, your guy just played with Austin Matthews throughout most of his career. Are you going to be able to find a center that he can play with that's as good as Austin Matthews?
Yep.
And I look at it, I'm saying, okay, who are teams that would be interested? Well, Vegas would be interested. Okay, that's good. Jack Eichel could be that guy, so that fits. What about Anaheim? And I think Anaheim's one of those sleeper teams on this, by the way, because I don't think Ryan Strome is that guy, even though I think Ryan Strome's a good player. But I do think Leo Carlsson could be that guy. So I could see that being a sleeper team. I know that Carolina says they want to be in on Mitchell Marner, but is Sebastian Aho as good as Austin Matthews? I don't think so. So you know what I'm saying, Rick? I think it's going to be interesting with him where he's going to go. I think Bennett's staying in Florida. I think Marchand's got a real good chance to stay in Florida. I think Ekblad might even stay in Florida. And we'll see how it plays out. But I think they're going to try to do something to make sure that all three of those guys stay.
Pierre, you've been in the game so long, well-respected. You know things inside out. When you were drafting in the 90s and now the NHL draft tomorrow, and now the kids are going through academies, it's totally – what is minor hockey now producing, junior hockey? What are the kids coming out for the draft? How different are they than decades ago?
I think the one thing is these kids are better offensively, most of them. They have better puck skills, better passing skills, better shooting skills, probably better acceleration. They're nowhere near as good defensively. They're so far away from being prepared defensively. I don't want to use names now because I think it's an honor whenever you're drafted into the National Hockey League. There are two really important days in the NHL. The day the Stanley Cup is presented and the day of the draft. Those 2 days matter unbelievably when you talk about the NHL, Rick and Don. So I'm looking at it and I'm going, what's the one thing? I'm so glad you brought that up because I spent a lot of time working with kids. And you'd be shocked at the skill levels, but you'd be shocked at how inept they are defensively. They really are inept.
Canuck fans wouldn't. Hey, Pierre, Hockey Hall of Fame inductees announced earlier this week. Alex McGillney gets in. What took so long?
I don't know. I've only been on the committee for 8 years, so I can't speak to what happened before I got there. But I can tell you right now that his name was mentioned a lot over the years that I was on. And I would say this, Don. It's not always a perfect science, but I'll tell you what, the people that are on the committee and the work they put in, and the professionalism, the people that run the committee and work on it, you'd be pretty amazed if you had the opportunity to sit in there. So I'm really happy for Alexander McGillney. I think it's an unbelievable thing for him and for hockey, especially in Russia. You look at all the great things he did before the NHL, whether it was the 88 Olympics gold, 89 World Championships, World Juniors. Just phenomenal. I think about, imagine a line of McGillney, Bure, and Federer. Could you imagine in the World Junior? That was a line?
Yep.
It's just unbelievable. So I'm really happy for Alex. I want to be totally transparent. In 1992-93, when he had 76 goals, I was coaching in Hartford. I don't know how many of those goals were against us, but I didn't like Alexander McGillney much when he was playing with Pat LaFontaine and Yuri Himmelov. I'll tell you that right now.
No kidding.
It's too darn good.
Yeah.
He was darn good.
Yeah, that was something else. Hey, the NHL is talking about going back to an 84-game schedule. You mentioned the early 90s. That's the last time they did it for a couple of seasons. What do you think?
Yep. I coached in the league when they did that, and it's because of the neutral site games.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you'll love this. Bruce McNall actually sold the no longer owner of the LA Kings, but it was Bruce McNall's idea, I think, to put those extra 2 games in. And he sold the rink boards, the advertising. So I remember once we were playing Winnipeg and Saskatoon. It's a good story for your listeners and viewers. And I walked into the rink with Chuck Caton, the legendary broadcaster, the Hall of Fame broadcaster of the Hartford Whalers. I said, Chuck, I thought we were in Saskatoon. He goes, we are. Why? I go, look at the boards. He goes, what do you mean? He goes, we played in L.A. like 3 days ago. It's the same rink boards. Did they bring the boards from L.A. to here? And what happened was all the advertising that was in L.A. was utilizing those neutral site games because Bruce McNall sold all the advertising. So I don't think we're going back there, but I do know this. The game was great then. The game is great now. I think the fact that they're adding 2 games is only positive, not negative.
Yeah, and it's not a done deal, but it looks like it's going that way. Shocking that an NHL owner would want to make more money. I've never heard a story like that before, Pierre.
That's good.
Yeah. Hey, this has been great, Pierre. We got to get you back on. All the best.
Any time that you're involved with Rick, I will always come on. I'm a big Rick Dhaliwal fan. And Donnie, I don't know how many years we started a long time ago, though, so anytime.
2000, Pierre, back in the CKNW days. I remember it well. You were up and coming.
Did I have hair then, Donnie? I don't even know if I had.
We both did back then.
Miss you on the radio, Pierre, in Vancouver. Miss you on the radio.
Thanks, Rick. Take care, Donnie. Thanks, man. Really appreciate being on with you. Thank you.
You bet.